Hello, Substack Live. Hello. And let me just. Hi, if you're watching live or going to watch the the replay, welcome. And I'm live today because I have this fantastic opportunity to let you know about an upcoming offer that I'm launching. So before we even get to that point, and we're living in an age of technology and complexity, and we're constantly being bombarded with these complex strategies, these how to and these things that's always in your ear about, you can make $1 million overnight or come down, this side street and you make 10K overnight, or your next 10K is this. And more women in particular are at that point where there's so many tools, there's so many systems, there's so many processes, there's so many offers. It's no wonder that we're cycling through all of these and feeling really exhausted. We're often told as women we're not committed enough, or we are we are broken, or there's something wrong with us. And yet women are the most talented, the most clever, the incredibly experienced skill sets that women have to offer is being undermined and diminished. And part of that is, as women, we're sometimes, well, a lot of the times, we are conditioned to be the good little girls, the ones that plays in the patriarchal machine and, show up and don't be too emotional and don't be too much and don't be too bold and don't be this and don't be that and don't do all these things. And so it's no little wonder that we are conditioned to shrink ourselves, conditioned to hide, conditioned to stay small. And we stay within those confines, repeating these things to ourselves, asking if there's something wrong with us. Am I good enough? Am I worthy? Why isn't this working? But the truth of it all is the system just wasn't built for us. We're not broken. We're not lost. We don't need more confidence. We don't need more clarity. The system just wasn't built for who we are. And along that way, we diminished our compass to discover who we really are and the power that we possess within ourselves. And the thing is, we are here to do greatness. We are here to build values and momentum that serve society. And the compass for that isn't just the words on a vision board, isn't just the affirmations that we make, isn't just doing the meditation or doing the healing. The compass for that is going within and connecting with the truth of who we are, the source of our true gifts, and bring us back to ourselves. And this takes deliberate rewiring of who we really are. But it's so very, very, very worth it. Because when we reconnect with the source of who we are and the truth of who we are and the beliefs that are actually ours, not someone else's, we find our genius. We find our ease and we find our pleasure and we find our joy. And that's really what I want to talk today about, is stripping back the system removing the layers and updating it into something that really connects in to the source of who we are. And I guess I could draw the analogy of a technology and liken it to um, upgrading the system or switching over from the legacy system to your platform, to your algorithm, your efficient, optimized system. And if I continue on that theme, in business, often we are told as women that there's a certain way to be, there's a certain way to perform, there's a certain way to look and act and behave. And I would just want to share a story of an event that I attended this week and how women are perceived. And yet the talent and the strength and the ability that was shared with me, that, it's such a shame that women don't actually come forward and share these things and reveal these things, because women are just so powerful. So it started along the lines of, I went to a networking event. There were 98% of people in the room were men. And, out of about 100 people, there were probably 4 women at the most. And these two chaps I was talking to these two chaps, and they said to me that, women women are very powerful, very talented, very clever, very strong, incredibly gifted, and they're very perceptive and very intuitive. But the difference is between women and men, that was their perception, is women hold themselves back for fear of being too loud, fear of being seen, fear of being judged. And so when they're in the boardroom or pitching, their approach is very much, am I good enough? Am I worthy? And so their medicine gets toned down. Whilst if it was a man, the man is very much, I'm going to blag this, I'm going to go for it. I am here and I'm powerful and I believe in what I'm doing. And these are men at the top of their game. These are women that are top of their game as well. And so we had the discussion about, why is it? What do you think that drives those patterns and those behavior? And there were a couple of sort of opining opinions that came out that, one, the system isn't really built to accommodate women, because sometimes women are just too honest about their ability and hold back on not pulling themselves forward. And the other one was that sometimes women do not necessarily believe in themselves. And so what they're leaning into are perhaps are behaviors or patterns that wouldn't necessarily be seen as powerful, so seen as weak. But the truth of it is, when we take a look and look at what's really going on, what's going underneath, we see that the strategies, I keep with the technology analogy, the strategies, the complex software, the platforms, just wasn't built for women to excel at. And so we're conditioned to adapt or adopt these behaviors. And so as part of my work, part of my commitment is to support women, because women are not fragile. They're not weak. It's just, we have learned to perform resilience, we've learned to push through the system, and we've learned to absorb it and soak it up and go, yeah, okay, I'll follow that formula because it works for the bros. It works. It generates results. And if that's working, then I need to do that. But when you take a step back and you ask, actually, do I really need this? I might have always had this pattern, or I've inherited it. Am I ready to bin it? And so when we start to strip away, the invisible logjam and all the bullshit and, that sort of organizational, societal structure BS that says you've got to do more, do, go, and go faster, do more, do more, do more. And if you do that, you get more, and you get more, and you more. But if you strip that back and reframe that into, am I actually being of service? Am I actually delivering for my teams and for my clients? And what am I really here to do? Am I living in my purpose? Am I living in my true gifts and my strengths? That presents a different picture, presents a different story. So when we take a look and we step back and we strip away that, peel away that invisible patterns in the ceiling of, worry about being judged, worried about being not enough, or worry about, being too much. And we connect with the life that we truly desire and we own it. Magic happens. That's where the magic really happens. And that's something that when I work with my clients and when I work with individuals with my clients to understand what's really going on, what are those patterns that are showing up that's causing a stall in their business or not causing them to move to the next level. We see that there are these invisible thresholds that must be crossed. And so I just want to pose these questions to you. Instead of describing what each of us are doing as strength, instead of describing it as strength, but actually seeing it as more how we've been conditioned, whether it's from our parents or whether it's from inherited patterns from family or society, generational. So instead of looking at that as strength and seeing it as conditioning and connecting to the source of the truth of who you are, would you stop? What would you stop? And would you stop treating your life like it's an Uber delivery or something that, you order on Amazon and it's instant? Or would you stop treating your body like it's a process that's always in fight or flight or collapse? And, there's no feelings or anything to be experienced or witnessed? Would you stop treating your body like it's not in need of replenishment and doesn't have any needs of its own and cannot speak to you? What if you trusted yourself to notice those patterns and notice what matters most, and then let the rest go, knowing that whatever happens, if something gets dropped, it's not going to cause your business or your life to collapse? Because we've been trained by birth, and particularly women, a lot of us inherited or sort of have what I, some describe as the witch wound, because we've been here before and we've been burnt before for stepping forward. So we've been trained and conditioned to put the needs of others before ourselves, to people please, to over deliver, to keep our prices palatable just in case someone's not able to afford it, or what if she cannot afford it, or, and that's how we get approval. That's how we feel safe. And that's how we think or believe that if we do these things, we're going to belong and we won't be cast out. But there's this resistance, there's this internal resistance. And I don't think that there's any way around it but to walk through it. Because the alternative is to continue as we are. And we all know that doing more and more of what got us here isn't going to get us to the next level. So there's often this tension and this shift between the internal resistance and the external resistance. And as always, we always have options, right? We can always continue doing what we're doing and do more of it and keep running those programs that doesn't really serve us, and we end up in exhaustion and we end up feeling really tired and we sort of collapse. So you might make 100K a month and we then in bed for 3-4 days. We make another 100K, 150K, and we go, we sort of collapse or we revert back to zero for the next 2 months. But that way, we're actively harming ourselves, and we're actively harming our mental health and our physical health. And we know that, it's easy to get caught up in the moment of, I made 25 million and I made 10 million and you could do it too. And you follow my patterns, follow my process, and you follow my steps. Because the alternative is we're thinking, okay, if she can do it, why can't I? Or how can she do it and I'm not able to do it? But the real truth is that each of us are built differently, and each of us have our own natural gifts that were given to us by our soul or our higher selves. And each of us are here to create in the most beautiful but the most different ways. And so when I take my clients through this exercise, we can distill in a very short space of time which are the patterns that are running, affecting their business and also their lives as well. So often as women, we hold back on whether it's calling ourselves forward in visibility, whether it's calling ourselves forward in demanding, requesting more money, or speaking of more money, or receiving more money. We often hold ourselves back and we don't understand why. Or we see ourselves circling around a pattern, that we know there's a decision that needs to be made. We know that there's an offer that needs to go out. We know that there's a pitch that needs to be presented. We know that our prices needs to go up, but we circle and circle and circle. And I'm in the same category. I've done it myself many times. And each time we get to a threshold, each time we get to a particular level, those patterns circle back again. And I see that especially with women, and I see it with men, particularly in relationships. And these are the wounds or the invisible beliefs that we carry that are underlying our decisions. They drive our decisions and our choices without us knowing. And these are the patterns that if we are not actively working to dissolve them and releasing them, they show up as more self-doubt, sabotaging, more second-guessing, more holding back, more I know I should, more of why do I feel this way, and more of the collapse and the fight or flight freeze mode. And it sounds really simple, but it's not always easy, because if it was easy, everyone would be doing it. And so I describe this as the archways, the thresholds that each of us that wants to experience the fullness of who we are, and also experience the fullness of our business, our lives, that life that we know we're meant to connect with at every level. I call it the thresholds that we walk through and we release those patterns. And it's foundational at every level. And it brings so much insights and return you back to self-trust. So when I took a client through it, she was circling at the entrance and didn't want to go in because there was that resistance to claim her wealth. And that's something that a lot of women have challenges with, where we reach the multiple six figures and we say, yes, I've arrived. Or we have multiple 5-figure months and we say, yes, this is it. Maybe I'm not meant to have more. This is it. But we are so limitless, and we are infinite beings here to experience and witness the fullness and the truth of who we are. And so when we create more money and we create more wealth, more women have more wealth and have more money and more children. Society thrives even more. And when we consciously choose to release those patterns and release the wealth wounds that we're carrying, whether it's feeling comfortable receiving the 100K months, receiving the 250K months, receiving a large payment from a client without thinking maybe I don't deserve this, or what maybe I need to over deliver. When we cross those thresholds into becoming the truth and the fullness of who we are, we expand our frequency. Our frequency naturally expands to hold more. And so by stripping away those layers and connecting deeper to the source of our truth, of who we really are, we can see that we've been conditioned. And we can see that no amount of technology or systems can override connecting to our gifts. So I'm running an 8-week activation to support women, high achieving, high performing women who are at that threshold and ready to cross through it, to be the fullness of their vision and be the fullness of who they are, even more so. So if you're generating the 500K and ready to go to the $1 million identity, or ready to go to the 750, or ready to go to your next 100K, this is for you. And even if you're at 5K and ready to move to 10K, and at 10K ready to move to 20K, this is for you, for stripping away the layers and connecting deeper with the source of the truth of who you are. So this 8-week activation really runs through and call each of us forward to identify the resistances that we're each carrying and start building from the truth of who we are. And it includes a guidebook to work through what are the narratives, what are the stories that you're telling yourself. So it's, for most of us, it's easy to listen to an activation or an immersion and intellectualize it and go, that was really nice. Oh, I feel better. But the work comes from identifying those patterns and those wounds, just like my client who was circling the temple, and stepping into the greatness of who you are, stepping into the fullness of who you are. And that happens when you identify and connect with where are you leaking, where am I leaking, those energetic signature that keeps me that's standing between me and my wealth blueprint, my money blueprint. Because money is good. Money is neither good nor bad, but I believe money is good. I don't believe that there are good people who have money, but money is good. And money is here for revealing to us the fullness of who we are. And I think believe that when women have more money, women have more wealth, the whole world is a better place. Children thrive. It's been proven. So I'd love to invite you to just connect in and think about, those patterns and those conditioning that you've inherited, even from before your birth. Where have you put your needs? Let me rephrase that. Where have you put others' needs ahead of yours? Where have you people please and over deliver from the truth of who you are? There's a noise in the background. I apologize for that. Because the alternative, if we don't strip these layers away, if we are still working with these conditioning and not reprogramming them or switching the program, take that switch to say, I'm ready to let go of the bullshit. I'm ready to let go of those organizational bullshit, those societal bullshit that tells me that I can only do certain things. That tells me that I'm not meant for certain things. I'm not meant to have more money. I'm not meant to have a business that creates impact. I'm not meant to be of service to tens of thousands or millions of people. I'm not meant to deliver that service to my teams and to my clients. Then you're keeping yourself away from your life purpose. I can put it no other way than that. And so this is a choice, whether you're intentionally desiring to move forward and create a business and generate income that's far beyond what you're doing at the moment, that stretches you so far into your greatness that you'll leave behind the safety of the comfort zone, the safety of getting approval, and leap into the safety of knowing that you are creating what matters for you. Not as the Uber delivery or the Amazon guy who instantaneously quick fix, but by doing it in a way that says, I won't perform or make sacrifices. I will design my life the way I choose, and I will design the way my soul, my inherent gifts are here to bring forward the wealth that I know the wealth I know that I'm here to create, the legacy I know that I'm here to create for me and my family and society and my community and everyone else. And this may feel really uncomfortable for some. It's meant to be. If you're feeling resistance, that is great. That is good. That's exactly where you're meant to be, because you're being called to cross that threshold. You're being called to receive what you're here to achieve. You're being called to be visible. You're being called to bring forth your voice and activate your tribe. And we do that with a foundational step to crossing those thresholds. Now, I said there are eight of them, and each week we deliver them and we roll them out. And I'd invite you, and I'd love you to join me in this. And we're offering a founder's rate for the first 4 or 5 people that sign up. I said 4, but I'm going 5. Offering, it's just $1. The first 5 people that join me in this activation will receive this for $1. And within that, I'll also be dropping in riffs and various activations and immersions that will support and complement this immersion. Of course, I'd say it's like no other. It's an activation like no other. Of course, I'm going to say that. And the reason I can say that is because I've taken myself through it. I've taken my clients through it. And I still practice it. At each level, each step I move into, I practice this. I do this at least once a week because it's just so powerful. And that has allowed me, that's really helped me to move from hesitating to walk into rooms where I felt, oh, who am I to be in that room? Who am I to go into that room? I couldn't possibly do that. Or who am I to reach out to this person? Who am I to connect? Or who am I to receive such large sums of money? To saying, yes, this is for me. I receive it. I speak my truth. My voice will activate those who needs to hear it. This is an incredibly powerful immersion. And so if you would like to experience it, I'd love you to join. I said it's just $1 for the first 5 that signs up. And along with the activation / immersion, we also provide a guidebook that allows you to work through systematically each of the thresholds as you cross them and identify how is that showing up in your business? How are those beliefs that were never yours in the first place, that you were never carrying, how are they showing up in your business? How are they showing up in your life? And just allow you to walk through releasing those and releasing them in the most glorious way, that not only do you feel lighter, but your life will never be the same because you would have expanded into opening up and shifting your frequency to receive more in alignment with who you are. So if you have any questions, I'd love you to drop them, DM me, message me, and we will communicate in the chat and follow up. So I look forward to joining me, and I cannot wait to see you as part of this immersion.